My siblings, please reach out your hands in prayers over me. Most High, we ask that I may speak with your voice, and that we may hear with your heart. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. On this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the underworld can never hold out against it. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. May Christ be with you.
And also with you.
A reading from the Good News according to the book of Matthew.
Glory to you, O Christ.
Now when Jesus came to the area of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the human one is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others Elijah, and still others Jeremiah, or one of the other prophets." He said, "And what about you? Who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Then Jesus replied, "Happy are you, Simon, son of Jonah, because no human has shown this to you. Rather, my parent who is in heaven has shown you. I tell you that you are Peter, and I'll build my church on this rock. The gates of the underworld won't be able to stand against it. I'll give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Anything you fasten on earth will be fastened in heaven. Anything you loosen on earth will be loosened in heaven." Then he ordered the disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Christ. This is the gospel of our Christ.
Praise to you, O Christ.
So, lots of calling and setting aside language this week, which Beverly doubled down in with one of the classic vocation hymns. And I want to talk about who gets called, because that's really the thing here, is that we keep getting called from the outside and then given the keys. And that's the pattern of these readings. So Isaiah is telling a bad ruler he's out. Somebody else of the lineage, but somebody else that even had to be identified by family association because he was that poorly known, was going to be brought in. I will give him your robe. I'll wrap him in your sash. I'll wrap him in your authority. And the job of the person called in is to be a loving parent. And interestingly, it says, "I will place the key of David on his shoulder." It's not a physical key, right? It's that connection, the door open between David and God. It's that perception and responsibility. And what he opens, no one will close. What he closes, no one will open, which Jesus quotes to Peter. But I want to point out another piece. "I will fasten him securely like a tent peg." Now, a tent peg is a short thing, most of which is underground. A securely fastened tent peg is a tent peg that is deep, deep grounded. You securely fasten the rope to the tent peg. But a secure tent peg is a tent peg that's deep in good ground at a good angle to hold firm in that ground. And I think there's a heck of a teaching right there. That's a guy who puts up a lot of tents. And I have not securely fastened tent pegs before. And I have had tent pegs that I thought were securely fastened, and then the wind came up. So I'm very clear on the importance of a securely fastened tent peg. And this leader is not the top pole of the tent. This leader is the securely fastened tent peg. And I think that's one heck of a teaching that we often slide right by. Now, in Psalm 138, it is a song of thanksgiving for having been saved. But the response is balancing eternal love with don't discard your work. And that's what we said over and over and over. God's love is eternal. The trick is that sometimes the work done is not something that we value or that we think is going to accomplish anything. And oftentimes you hear the psalmist asking God not to do the thing the psalmist is afraid of. And I kind of wonder here how many times I've discarded the work of God's hands through me. I've discarded the work that God was doing in me. I've discarded the work God was doing through me. And I wonder if that's what's going on here. And the other thing that I wonder is whether this is a don't give up on me. I'm doing my best, and I know I'm screwing up all the time. I'm in your eternal love. Please keep helping me do this work. And I don't know which one the psalmist meant, but one of the things about these ancestral myths is we can hear them the way we need to. And so I think either one is something that you can receive depending on which one you need, right? And then we get to Romans. God's riches, wisdom, and knowledge are so deep, and yet they're mysterious. They're hard to track. As mysterious as God's judgments, as hard to track as God's paths. Who has known the Holy One's mind? Who has been God's mentor? Who's given God a gift? Who's done something for God that God needed to repay? We're acknowledging here in Romans that God's got a plan and a wisdom that doesn't make sense, we can't follow, we don't get. We lost the reasoning about 5 steps back. And that's okay, because if we don't have a God who's smarter and wiser than we are, why are we worshiping? Just saying. So, our minds that can't even understand a tapeworm, there's so much more knowledge than we have about pretty much everything out there. It's okay that God's ways are mysterious. It's okay that we can't track God's paths. It's okay that we don't get what God's doing. The important thing to get is that we're loved. We're loved right through it. And that God can use everything that happens to accomplish their will, to accomplish the healing of the world, which is kind of what we're here for. All things are from God and through God and for God. Glory to God forever. And then out of these pieces, we have Peter calling out a truth. Now, Peter's job in the story is to be John Everyman and to be impulsive and to be short-sighted and to be just really, really human. And Peter blurts stuff out. This time, what Peter blurts out is that Jesus isn't just a rabbi, isn't just a rebbe, really. They didn't have rabbis back then. Isn't just a teacher, a master, is in fact Mashiach. And Peter sees it, and probably the others have seen it time and time again and kind of sat themselves back down. But Peter blurts it out. And I want to point out to you that it's the really, really human blurter out of random things that Jesus said was kind of the point and the key to the whole thing. Our humanity, our blurty, bumbly, fumbly selves are exactly what God's working with. Go look at the heroes of the Bible, and they ain't that impressive a lot. Well, neither are we. We're impressive in how we let ourselves get used. We're impressive in how we get back up again and try. We're impressive at how thoroughly we love and hope and feel. And God uses our humanity. So Jesus tells Simon that Simon's got a new name. No longer Simon. Peter. Happens to Paul too. And, there's those of us who have new names, right? And have names that are more truly us, more truly right, resonate. When I joined my order, they asked me what name and religion I wanted. I've already got it. That's what Mir is. That is my name and religion. It's peace. It's community. So Peter gets a new name. And the emotional, blurty, fumbly Peter is told he's a rock. Our very human failing is the rock on which God builds the church. And I don't get it, but I can read it, I can accept it, and frankly, I can see in my own life where the weirdest moments that I didn't think anything of had a huge impact on another human being. Sometimes you say a throwaway thing and it means the world to them. Sometimes the building is just that random seeming. But we know that God's plans and ways are way beyond ours. And we're just along for the ride to do the best we can to be God in the moment. The gates of the underworld won't be able to stand against us. And I want to talk about those keys because the throne of Peter really likes to use those keys. And I don't think it was ever about excluding people. I think it's a lot about including and excluding energies in our lives. The Jewish people have had mysticism written through all of their tradition, and as far as we can tell, all of their history. And there are things to welcome in and things to lock away from us in every step of our lives. There are doors to open and doors to close. And I don't think it was ever about who would be locked out or locked in, which, if you think about it, is equally toxic. I think it's a lot about connecting things on earth that we want to be connected to, that will be healthy for us to connect to, and those things being connected to our higher selves, to our sacred selves, to our Christness. And similarly, the things that we need to be locked away from, be locked away from our inner higher self, our Christ. It says anything you fasten on earth will be fastened in heaven. Anything you loosen on earth will be loosened in heaven. It doesn't say these people are in and these people are out. That is not what it says. And I don't care what Rome says, it ain't there. So think about the things that we want to be locked closely to, and the things that we know we should be locked away from, the things that are. And hear that it is our very humanity that's chosen. And weirdly, our very ability that's a rock. And I'm still not clear on that, but God's ways are not my ways. God's riches, wisdom, and knowledge are so deep, mysterious, hard to track. Yep. Sure are. And here we are. And occasionally we're pretty mysterious and hard to track, and I just hope sometimes we get deep. So I've thrown you a bunch of stuff here today as we're talking about binding and loosing and all of those pieces. I want us to talk about callings we've noticed and received. And I want you to be aware that sometimes we are called to things, and sometimes we are called away from things. And there too is the fasten and loosen piece. So let's talk about that, because I think we need to see more things as a calling mode. So I want us to kind of highlight those and hear them in each other. So let's talk.